I forgot to check the mic. The mic was muted. So I was literally just welcoming you in, saying welcome to day 9 of the LinkedIn Visibility Anchor series. We have journeyed together for the past 9 days, speaking about all manner of things around the topic of visibility. So if you are on, say hi so that I can be sure that I can be heard. Schoolboy error, had the microphone on mute while chattering away. So hopefully, you guys will slowly start to trickle in. But happy Friday. It's another red bush for me. This is my second one for today. I'm almost like, I don't want to say addicted, but it's now becoming one of my favorites. So guys, hop in, come on in. I'm going to fire up. I've got Instagram going, YouTube. Well, I hope. So let me just do the round robin and just check that everything is operational. All right, I can see me over on YouTube. And yep, the audio is working. If you're watching on LinkedIn, let me know. Save me a journey over there. Save me a journey over there. But guys, let me know if this is your first day here, right? Just drop in the chat and say first day. If you have been rocking with me for the past 8 days and you have been getting involved in everything visibility, let me know equally, because today is the final day. I'm going to be sharing insights around your offer and the rhythm that you utilize in your visibility journey. So come on in TikTok. You are welcome into the room. You're welcome to the conversation. Instagram, I believe you are on as well. So let's get into it. I will come. That's funny, Jackie. All right. So yesterday I had like a brain freeze and I was referring to Jackie as Debbie, and I made the mistake once and then I like repeated the same mistake. So she's come in and said Debbie here. I'm saying that for the guys on TikTok because you guys can't see. Good to have you, Debbie. I'm excited to have you on. So I'm going to be talking about your offers and the way in which you should aim to have a rhythm when it comes to your visibility online. A lot of us overlook the fact that our offers actually speak for us. They say a lot about who we are, what we do, and how we show up. So I'm going to get into it. If it's your first time, say first time. If you have been rocking with me, just say returnee. I am a returnee, right? But before we dive in, just a quick note so you're not surprised. Everything that has been taught over these past 8 and now the 9th day sits within the visibility pathway within the LinkedIn Strategy Lab. So the Strategy Lab is my community helping service-based business owners, solopreneurs, men, women, and intrapreneurs, right? So if you are employed, but you are almost navigating your career like a business, you're welcome into the Strategy Lab, right? And I say all that to say everything that has been taught sits within the pathway in the LinkedIn Strategy Lab. I will share more on that towards the end. But if you have been craving support, structure around your visibility work, especially as we go into 2026, then there is an absolute space for you in the lab. And I'll share more on that as we continue into this live session. Right, but here's the reality of the thing. Here's what I need for you to know. Visibility is built through strategic rhythm, right? Not random effort. It's not you're on for a week, then you disappear for 6 weeks. It is about being strategic and having a cadence and a rhythm that you show up. Your offer is the way in which you articulate the transformation that you get for the people that you help, the results that you get for them, and is actually one of your strongest visibility anchors that you have. So let's get into it. I'm going to start first of all with your offer anchor. So I said we're talking about offers, we're also talking about your rhythm. So let's start with your offers, because I think most solopreneurs don't realize that your offer, it almost like sits quietly behind everything that you're doing online. Let me explain and give a bit more context, right? Because I think this is misunderstood for the most part. So your niche is who you serve. Your topic is what you talk about. It's the things, the topics, the themes, what you're talking online about. And then your expertise is why you are qualified, right? So what is it about you that means that you are qualified in your particular domain, sphere? Why are you qualified? What qualifies you? And all of that is great. It's all fantastic, but none of that tells your audience what you actually help them to achieve, right? That's where your offer comes in, because your offer is what creates clarity. It's what says, like, here's the problem, and I help to solve this problem through this process that I walk you through this framework that I've built and I've developed and I've used with other people and gotten results for them. It says, this is how you can work with me. Because a lot of the time, especially on LinkedIn, I speak with women and I'm like, okay, so what's your offer? What is it that you're actually selling? And it's tumbleweed, crickets. They're like, yeah, I haven't quite built out what my offer is. So you're doing the most, showing up, saying the most, and you don't actually have something to sell. Right? That to me is wild, right? And especially, right, okay, so at the early stages, maybe you're using LinkedIn or the online space for market research, but there comes a point where you now have a hobby. That's what you have. You have a hobby if you have nothing to sell, if you have nowhere to direct somebody to that they could ask more about your service, they could book time in your diary, they could book you, right, for your service, for your transformation. So without your offer clarity, your visibility almost begins to feel floaty, right? People like what you talk about, they like how you show up, but they don't quite understand how to move forward with you. They're like, this is helpful. This content's really helpful. And they stay stuck there. They don't transition into, I actually want to work with her. She's the person who can solve the issues, the problems that I have. But when your offer is clear, your visibility stops being random, right? The activity is intentional, the way you show up, the way you engage, right? That's when it starts becoming your pathway. Your offer sits underneath everything that you say online, right? It influences how you describe the problem, because there's different levels to a problem. I did a post about a client who came to me and was like, I need more visibility. I need more visibility. And I had to understand from her perspective, what did she mean by visibility? Because there's different levels and different sophistication, different complexities. And for somebody who is just like, oh, I just need X, when really what you deliver is Y, right? Maybe the level, let me give an example. My husband is a wedding photographer, and we would often have prospective couples who are not interested in albums. They're not interested in getting like prints, digital prints. They just want the images on a pen drive. So ultimately, at both ends of the spectrum, those couples want wedding photos, but one understands like the impact of an album, the fact that it's now an heirloom that can be passed down, the fact that it's a tangible asset that captures the moment, right? Versus somebody who's just like, yeah, I'll just have it on a USB stick and keep it in a drawer, right? So ultimately, they want the same outcome, they want images, but the mechanism for delivering it is different. Now, those individuals who just want it on a pen drive were not my husband's ideal client. They weren't the people that he necessarily wanted to work. He's in his approach to his business, he sees it as an art form, right? And he wants you to respect the art form. So I say that to say, if your offer is not being articulated in a way that connects and resonates with people who, yes, they have the problem, but at what level and how are you communicating that? Are you using examples of previous clients, of previous transformations, right? The stories that you tell should be linked to your offer. The language that you use should be linked to the things that you're selling. And then even when you're commenting on other people's content, having that even in your mind that, yes, I'm engaging, I'm commenting, but through the lens of your offers, right? So it, to me, is a quiet thread that just runs through your content, your comments, your teaching moments, your engagements, your posts, your carousels, all of these things should have a thread with your offer in. So let me come back and check the chat and see if there are any comments. If anything starts to like land for you or you have a question, please feel free to drop it into the comment box and I'll hoover it up, maybe as we go along, or I'll get it at the end, right? So be sure to drop your comments in. Let me continue, right? So we've spoken about your offers and I hope that that is clear, that makes sense. You start to understand that it's an anchor for you. Even you start to be known by your offers. Are you low ticket? Are you mid ticket? Are you high ticket? Right. So you may have someone who does the same thing as you, but at a different level. So when you're not in a room and somebody is speaking about the problem that you solve, maybe you're mentioned or maybe you're not, based on the level and the complexity of the problem that the person has. If you are a high ticket, you know, you're charging 10 grand a consultation and you've got someone who's just starting business, right? They've just started, they're bootstrapping, they're still working in their 9 to 5 perhaps, you know, maybe they're not your ideal person. So the way that your offer is positioned speaks for you. It speaks volumes and will, you know, help in your visibility journey of getting you in front of the right people. So let's move on now to your rhythm. So your rhythm is an anchor as well for your visibility. Absolutely is an anchor. It's another area that I think many, especially women, feel quite stuck in when it comes to cadence, rhythm, consistency. And when I say rhythm, right, it doesn't mean posting daily. It doesn't mean doing the most, being everywhere, like getting involved in everything. It doesn't mean, you know, being hyper consistent, always on, never resting, never having kind of downtime. That's not rhythm. To me, that is pressure, headache, heart palpitation, like all the things, right? That's what I would chalk that up to. But a predictable pace, right, that you can sustain without burning out, that to me is a rhythm. and that you can keep going without disappearing either, right? As I said, you're on for 1 week, then you've gone missing for the next 6. So that to me is like a predictable rhythm, a predictable pace that you can stick to in alignment with all the other things. So rhythm is what stops you from consistently swinging between I'm on fire, I'm like so on this now, to I can't keep up. I need to find a dark room, lie in it, nobody talk to me. I just need to unplug. Right. So when women say that visibility feels stressful, what they're normally describing, I think, is the absence of rhythm. Let me know what's coming up for you. Do you feel like you have a rhythm in your business? Do you feel as though the cadence that you're working to, how often you're posting, how often you're engaging, how often you're speaking on podcasts, how often you are networking, right? All of these things form your visibility. What does that look like for you? Rhythm to me like removes decision fatigue. Decision fatigue is something that I'm often plagued with, right? I get overwhelmed with too many decisions. But having a rhythm, right? I know what I'm doing on a daily, weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis, right? So that overwhelm, because you've got too many decisions, kind of goes away because you already know, you've got almost like a school curriculum. You already have it laid out. So you know exactly what you're doing. It removes guilt. It removes the constant stop start, that feeling in your stomach that you're like, I know I should be showing up. I know that I should be talking more about the work that I do. I should be talking more about my offers. When you've got a rhythm, it just happens naturally. It's like an organic flow that happens, right? So I think the key, right, is that with your rhythm, it requires you to be honest about your capacity. What is it that you can commit to in this season? And what season of life are you in? Right? Maybe you have a lot of family stuff going on. Maybe there's a lot of stuff in your community. Maybe your health isn't so good, right? So signing yourself up to be all things to all people at all times, not wise. Not wise. So thinking about the season you're in, and then thinking about like, what is it that you can truly hold confidently? And for you, that could be a weekly rhythm of going live, maybe on a LinkedIn live, maybe on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, right? Maybe it's a monthly carousel that you're going to put everything into, pour everything in, and make sure that it's really valuable. Maybe it's a weekly email that you commit to rhythmically, that you're just going to show up, and then it becomes predictable, right? So the people on the other side of your content, they know to expect you. They're like, okay, I know that Shalina sends a weekly email, or Shalina goes live weekly. So working out what that looks like for you. Do you have that? Do you have a rhythm for how you're going to get visible? And then when you pair the two together, right, what happens is that your offer gives direction, it gives visibility, it gives, direction to your visibility. So your visibility isn't just kind of floating aimlessly. And then what rhythm does is it gives it momentum. That's like the lighter fuel that you're pouring on to what you're doing. So the two come together, and then what that leads to is your strategy, your visibility strategy that works without burning you out. So you're speaking about the ways that people can work with you, directing them to your offers, talking about what the transformations that you are able to achieve. And then you've got the rhythm, you've got the structure, right? The two paired together become your visibility strategy without burning you out, which is really important, especially the majority of women that I work with are over the age of 40. So energy levels are not what they used to be as much as we would like for them to be. So it goes back to being honest, that honest conversation that you have to have with yourself. How can I show up effectively, right? How can I deliver in excellence without needing to tap out for months because you've overdone it? Inside the LinkedIn Strategy Lab, that is exactly the way in which we build visibility, through a simple and repeatable pathway. So I've spoken about the pathway. If it's your first time here, it's 4 simple steps: your profile, your content, your pipeline, and your clients. All of these things, they're different steps, different phases that you should be working towards leveraging on LinkedIn. A lot of people will just focus on content, but they've not set their profile up for conversions for clients. They don't have a strategy for moving people along your pipeline, along your funnel on LinkedIn, right? So these 4 simple steps are what we utilize. And then every anchor, so all of these past 9 anchors that I've shared with you, sit along the pathway. So your visibility isn't just active, it is strategic, it's sustainable, and it absolutely is connected to your offer, because we're here to make money, right? If you're here for a fan club, or you're here to make friends, then maybe I'm not the person to listen to or to work with, right? We are in the final week of the Black Friday pricing. So if visibility for you has felt shaky, right? If you want structure and support, if you want rhythm in 2026, then the LinkedIn Lab is definitely something that you need to pay attention to. But as I'm coming down, as I am on the final descent, right, I want to leave you with one question. And that question will shape how you move forward next year, right? So let me put the question to you. What is one visibility promise that you are making for yourself in 2026? Not 10, not a whole plan, just one promise, right? One anchor that you are choosing to hold. And it might be, I'm choosing one platform, I'm sticking to it, and I'm going deep, right? I'm going to really master this platform and show up in such a way that people will be like, who is she? Who is he? Where have they come from? It might be that you decide you're going to build evergreen assets each month. So by the end of 2026, you've got 12 strong evergreen assets, that library that I spoke about, that you build and you can utilize as your body of work. You can repurpose, you can do all the things with it. Maybe you decide, I'm going to double down on evergreen assets. Maybe you're just going to commit to a rhythm that you can hold, you can consistently stick to. There's across the 9 anchors that I spoke about, you could pick one and commit to it. So whatever comes to mind, right? If you haven't seen any of the previous anchors, go back, watch the replays. But whatever comes to mind, right? Write that down, capture it, put it somewhere that you will see it, so you're not drifting each month onto something different, focused on something different, and really see where that leads you by the end of the year. So if these 9 days have helped you to see visibility differently, just imagine what happens when we do this together over the next 6 months, the next 12 months. Like, what would that do for you and your business? The transformation in terms of your visibility. And visibility ultimately should lead to revenue. That's the whole point. We're not just being visible for visibility's sake, right? That's the purpose of it. So the Black Friday pricing expires on the 1st of December. So midnight GMT, UK time, right, the price goes up to the regular standard price. At the moment, we're in founder pricing as well as Black Friday pricing. So this is the best pricing that you will get in the lab. But there's no pressure, right? It's not by force. If you think it would be a fit, if you can see that this is actually something that you need in your business, then hop in, right? But the replays for this series will stay up, right? They'll be helpful, I'm sure, right? So go back through the anchors that I've shared over the past 9 days. But if you are ready to build, you're ready to lean in, the lab is where I would direct you to. So I'm going to check the chat and answer any questions, anything that's come up for you around any of the anchors, or the ones that we've spoken about today, or the LinkedIn Strategy Lab. And I really just want to thank you for hanging out, for showing up for yourself, for your business, and ensuring that I wasn't just chattering away to myself, because I had committed to the 9 days. So if nobody turned up, I would have turned up. I would have been here. And also, right, take this as an extra gem. Even if nobody turns up, what I have done is created an asset that could be repackaged, can be sold, can be given away as a lead magnet. This is the body of work that I'm talking about. These are the content series that we should all be building in our business. And sometimes it just takes for you to put your big girl pants on, show up, do the work, share your insights, share your expertise. Whether people come or not, you now have an asset that you can leverage. So I hope that extra gem was helpful. Let me come and see what is happening in the chat. Jackie says, finding a cadence is a challenge for me at the moment. And I get that, because if you have client work, if you're doing all the things, that is the whole struggle with working on your business versus working in your business. So there's a big difference between the two. And sometimes we just need to be diligent with carving out time to do that work. That's kind of what it comes down to. It's almost like making yourself a client. So even I've done that actually in my CRM. I've put myself as a client. So the work on my business can happen, because otherwise you're just in it, and it's very hard to move forward. It's very hard to achieve the things that you need to when you're just constantly being reactive rather than strategic. Hey, Kamel. Is it Kamel? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I believe it's your first time to these live sessions. So you said tools like Buffer help a lot. Absolutely. Also, scheduling my posts on LinkedIn helps. I became overwhelmed when I tried to be everywhere. Yeah, that's a real thing. The rhythm helps, and I have specific posts on the same time of the week. I spoke about this on day one. Leveraging tools are important, depending on what stage you're at in your business, right? But even with LinkedIn, you can schedule for free. So Buffer is a paid tool, but often within the platforms, there are free scheduling tools that they have. But that allows you to be consistent, right? So you build out your rhythm, maybe on paper, maybe on your phone, and then you move on to the tool to implement that strategy that you've planned in advance. So yeah, technology definitely helps. The overwhelm is real, and what can often happen is that we start to feel like the online space becomes our business, and it's not. Right? We need to leverage it, but not let it overwhelm or take over or detract from the delivery, detract from even client acquisition. We spoke about that yesterday, I think it was. if you don't do the client acquisition, right? If you're not intentional with visibility, if you're not intentional with putting assets out there, you're just focused on the current client that you're working on. And then you look up, that piece of work has finished. And then it's like, well, what now? I now need to start from ground zero and build myself up again. Yeah. It's a whole thing for solopreneurs. It really is important to be honest with yourself, to your clients. What is it that you have the capacity to take on? Because yeah, that like energetically doesn't feel good. If you've taken on too much, it's going to impact your family, your relationships, the things that, you know, are outside of your business are still very, very important. Still very important. You are welcome. I love sharing. I really do. These are great tips. Amazing. Go ahead and implement that. That is like the biggest reward that I'm like, come hang out with me, come listen, but then go and do. Jackie says, evergreen assets and more R&R time for me. Absolutely. I think that evergreen assets would serve you really well. They would. I'm going to do this super quickly so I can do this. I shared about TikTok not liking you sipping, but I could feel my throat was getting dry. So guys, let me know if you have any questions. If not, I will give you back the rest of your day. Leonora, you are here. Very much appreciate all of your valuable tips and strategies throughout the week. You are another person who is welcome to move in. Welcome to move in. What did I miss? Are you inviting me to move in? Listen, I eat a lot, you know. I eat a lot and I consume a lot of electricity. My heated blankets, my laptops, my gadgets. Yeah, you have to be careful what you invite me into. But Leonora, I appreciate you for showing up. I think you have been on like Jackie pretty much every day. So again, attention, time, all of those things are so invaluable. And when people are willing to give you their time and attention, don't take that lightly. So TikTok, thank you so much for joining. Instagram, YouTube. I hope that this series has been transformational for you and how you think about visibility. The replays, as I say, will stay up. So on YouTube, there's a playlist. It's called the Visibility Anchor Series. So head over there and you can watch the replays. On my LinkedIn page, it will be under the events. So if you go to my profile and activity, you'll be able to get to events. And this is the QR code for the LinkedIn Strategy Lab. So you can scan that with another device. You could take a picture and then hold down the QR code in that picture, or you could wait until this is finished and then come back and scan it after the fact. But you'll get all the details around the LinkedIn Strategy Lab, what's available to you. It's a free community, so you can get into the free community. The tiers that are paid means you have access to training, on-demand training, live trainings, resources, reviews, audits, working with me one-to-one, depending on the tier that you opt for. Yeah, I thought you had been here every day, which is incredible because like literally I would plan or schedule it each morning based on my calendar. So the fact that we've been able to align, right, that is no mean feat. But I'm going to jump off and bid you farewell. Thank you so very much for checking this out. And if you have watched all of these or any of these on the replay, please do comment, say #replay. Let me know how this landed for you, what your big takeaways were, and more importantly, what are you going to do with what you have heard? What are you going to do? I put that in your court and in your lap. Guys, enjoy the rest of the day. And yeah, DM me if something comes up after the fact. Send me a DM on LinkedIn, or my stomach's rumbling again. That means it's lunchtime. Send me a DM. I'm more than happy to support where possible. All right, guys, take care, and I will see you around. I'll be on live again, maybe in December, but it will just be a one-off. It won't be a whole series for now, anyway.